Chapter 2990. 100,000 high-grade divine crystals were equivalent to 10 billion mid-grade divine crystals. As for how many low-grade divine crystals were equivalent to, it was practically impossible to calculate. It was an astronomical figure. Lu Ming was stunned when he heard this number. The old man also looked at Lu Ming with a smile. Even a low-level divine king would not be able to pay such a price. He concluded that Lu Ming definitely could not take out so many divine crystals. Sigh, what a pity. I can't buy the first level directly. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. Actually, he only needed to buy the first level of these divine techniques. However, there was a rule here. If he wanted to buy, he could only buy the entire set. After sighing for a while, Lu Ming took out several storage rings and fiddled with them. Then, he handed a storage ring to the old man. Senior, the low-grade divine crystals, mid-grade divine crystals, and high-grade divine crystals in here add up to 100,000 high-grade divine crystal. Lu Ming said. You really have so many divine crystals? The old man was skeptical. Then, he took Lu Ming's storage ring and scanned it with his spiritual sense. He was immediately stunned. The space within the storage ring was filled with divine crystals. There were mountains of low-grade divine crystals and mid-grade divine crystals. There was also a portion of high-grade divine crystals. An ordinary person would not have been able to count them. However, with the old man's powerful spiritual sense, he could count them clearly in a few breaths. These divine crystals added up to 100,000 high-grade divine crystals. Kid, you're incredible. You really can take out 100,000 high-grade divine crystals. The old man sighed in amazement. Lu Ming lamented in his heart. If he had not killed the Dark Knight Demon King and obtained his storage ring, he would not have been able to take out so many divine crystals. After all, the Dark Knight Demon King had so many divine crystals because he was sitting on the demonic night spring. Even so, after paying such a sum of divine crystals, Lu Ming did not have many left. Since you've paid the divine crystals, these divine techniques are yours. I'll remove the seals on them for you, the old man said. Then, he formed hand seals with both hands. Runes flew into the manual. The manual flickered a few times before stabilizing. All right, the restriction on it has been broken. Take it, the old man said. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Then, he took the secret book and put it into his storage ring. After that, he hurriedly returned to his residence. Mid-autumn moon. After returning to his residence, Lu Ming walked into Autumn Moon's room. Young master, what's wrong? Autumn Moon ended her cultivation and blinked her eyes at Lu Ming. Qiu Yu, how's your cultivation of the saint-grade divine techniques that I gave you before? Lu Ming asked. They've all succeeded. They've already condensed divine flames. Autumn Moon said. So fast. Lu Ming was speechless. Fortunately, the divine techniques that Autumn Moon cultivated were the same as Lu Ming's. Autumn Moon, I've bought some divine-grade divine arts. Take 2 of them and cultivate them first. After you've successfully cultivated them, integrate the saint-grade divine power with the divine-grade divine power. Lu Ming took out a few divine-grade divine arts and gave them to Autumn Moon. Divine-grade divine arts. Autumn Moon's eyes lit up. Then, she took 2 of them. Then, Lu Ming returned to his room and took out a divine art, Sun Yin divine art, and began to read it. It was indeed difficult to cultivate a divine-grade divine art. However, Lu Ming already had a lot of experience. In addition, his comprehension had increased a lot on the star peak. Thus, it wasn't too difficult for him to cultivate it. A few months later, Lu Ming cultivated the first level of the Sun Yin divine art and successfully cultivated a strand of Sun Yin divine power. Then, Lu Ming changed to the universe myriad Dao technique. He continued to strengthen this strand of Sun Yin divine power until he condensed divine flames. Just like that, a year passed. When the divine power was strong enough, Lu Ming's energy center lit up another divine flame. This was the Sun Yin divine flame. This was also because the cultivation environment in the starry camp was too good. In other places, it wouldn't be so fast. Now, I can integrate the ice divine power and absolute chill divine power into the sun yin divine power. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He began to control the two divine flames and merged them with the sun yin divine flame. Their attributes were similar and the sun yin divine flame was of a higher grade. It was relatively easy to merge them. A few months later, the ice divine power and absolute chill divine power had completely merged with the sun yin divine flame. The sun yin divine flame had grown a lot stronger. However, compared to the divine flames formed by the sovereign divine power and the indestructible sword force, it was still a long way off. It needed time to grow stronger. In this way, Lu Ming only had 9 divine flames left in his energy center. I wonder how Autumn Moon's cultivation is going. Let's go take a look. Lu Ming walked out of his room and saw Autumn Moon cultivating a divine art in the courtyard. When he saw Lu Ming, Autumn Moon stopped cultivating. Autumn Moon, how's your cultivation of the 2 divine grade divine arts going? Lu Ming asked with a smile. I finished cultivating them a few months ago. Autumn Moon said. What? You finished cultivating them? You finished fusing the divine flames? Lu Ming was shocked. Yes, I finished them. Autumn Moon said. Lu Ming received a huge blow. He had been cultivating non-stop and had only managed to cultivate 1. However, Autumn Moon had already cultivated 2. This was really a blow to him. Autumn Moon, take these and cultivate. Lu Ming gave the remaining 3 divine arts to Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon returned the 2 to Lu Ming. The 2 chatted for a while before returning to their respective rooms to continue cultivating. Time passed quickly. Lu Ming had been in the Starry Camp for 10 years. During this time, Lu Ming had successfully cultivated all the divine grade divine arts and fused them with the divine powers of similar attributes. Now, Lu Ming only had 9 divine flames and 9 divine powers left in his energy center. 7 of them were divine grade divine powers. They were the ruler divine powers, undying sword force, sun divine powers, moon divine powers, profound heaven divine powers, wind destruction divine powers, and heavenly evil divine powers. There was also a saint grade divine powers, multivision divine powers, and a king grade divine powers, golden dragon divine powers. Of the 7 divine grade divine powers, only the ruler divine powers and undying sword force were full. They were at 4th layer heavenly god realm. The other 5 divine grade divine powers were only at 1st layer heavenly god realm. They were still far from being full. Although the saint grade divine powers and king grade divine powers were full before they were fused, they were far from being full once they were converted into divine grade divine powers. Even so, Lu Ming's overall battle strength had increased by a notch. After all, they were all divine grade divine powers. Each of them was shockingly powerful. If all the divine powers were full, Lu Ming's battle strength would skyrocket. At that time, even if his cultivation did not increase, he would be able to crush geniuses like Lang Ying. That being said, it was extremely difficult to cultivate all 5 divine grade divine powers to full. For example, it would take a long time for a person to reach 4th layer heavenly god realm from 1st layer heavenly god realm. Besides, Lu Ming was equivalent to 5 people. Chapter 2991. The Universe Myriad Dao's technique has its pros and cons. He can control many kinds of divine grade divine force and is indeed powerful, but the resources and time required for cultivation are much more than others. Unfortunately, the refinement speed of the stellar core is too slow. If there is energy from the stellar core, I can quickly cultivate all 5 kinds of divine grade divine force to the fullest state. Lu Ming muttered. Hey, kid, are you blaming me for the slow refinement speed? Lu Ming's words were heard by the quantifying formula, and it immediately shouted. No. Lu Ming quickly denied. Kid, it's all because your cultivation is too weak. Too weak, do you understand? It's simply too weak. Heavenly God realm, hey. The quantifying formula sneered with great resentment. Lu Ming's face was covered in cold sweat. The quantifying formula muttered again, scolding Lu Ming. After a long while, it stopped. Kid, let me tell you, it's not impossible to quickly refine the energy of the stellar core. After scolding, the quantifying formula suddenly changed the topic. What's the way? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Without the help of the stellar core, Lu Ming could cultivate all 5 kinds of divine force to the fullest state without the help of the stellar core. It would take him at least tens of thousands of years to cultivate all 5 kinds of divine force to the fullest state even on the star peak. Tens of thousands of years, by that time, it would be too late. It's very simple. The stellar core is extreme yang. If you can find a kind of extreme yin and cold object for me to absorb and merge with the yin and yang, I can quickly refine the stellar core into energy, the quantifying formula said. Extreme yin and cold? Does the cold moonstone count? Lu Ming said. No, the cold moonstone's level is too low. The cold liquid in your 9th ice chain can do it, the quantifying formula said. That liquid? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. However, he had already refined it and turned it into a supernatural power. It would definitely not work. Then, Lu Ming thought of the Ice Soul race's treasure, the Ice Jade Heart Chill. However, the Ice Jade Heart was the most precious treasure of the Ice Soul clan. It was impossible for him to refine and absorb it. Let's go to the Starry Sky Camp Market and take a look, Lu Ming muttered before leaving the room and heading towards the market square of the Universal Camp. Unfortunately, in the market of the Starry Sky Camp, although some cold attribute treasures were found, they did not meet the requirements. One had to know that it was the core of a star. It was very difficult to find an item of extreme coldness that matched it. For the next few days, Lu Ming went in and out of the market square. Unfortunately, there was no harvest. Lu Ming could only rely on himself to slowly cultivate. Lu Ming cultivated the Universe Myriad Dao technique, accumulating divine power while cultivating various divine skills. He realized that the complete version of the 9 Heavens Kuan Peng technique was even more mysterious than the incomplete version. Especially after the 7th level, it was simply a lot more mysterious. After cultivating it, he would truly have the might of the Kuan Peng, able to fly for 100,000 miles with a flap of his wings. Lu Ming, get your ass out here and fight me. On this day, Lu Ming was cultivating. Suddenly, a loud roar came from outside. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He extended his spiritual awareness and found a young man standing in midair. His eyes were like lightning. Lu Ming had never seen this young man before. It seems like the Jin clan and Qin clan can't hold back anymore. Lu Ming thought for a while before saying, it hasn't been 50 years yet. I won't fight. Lu Ming rejected without hesitation. Mph, Lu Ming, what kind of supreme talent are you? You only know how to hide like a turtle. You don't even dare to accept a challenge. I think you should get out of the Starry Sky Camp. The young man shouted coldly, full of disdain. Is that so? Fine, suppress your cultivation to the same level as mine and I will fight you. Lu Ming's voice sounded. The young man snorted and did not reply. Why aren't you talking? You don't even dare to accept a challenge from someone of the same level. What kind of supreme talent are you? You only know how to hide like a turtle. I think you should get out of the Starry Sky Camp. Lu Ming's disdainful voice sounded. You. The young man was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Lu Ming returned his words to him. In the end, the young man could only leave with his tail between his legs. However, in less than a month, another young man came to challenge Lu Ming. He used all kinds of provocations and slanderous words. However, Lu Ming always said, do you dare to accept a challenge from someone of the same level? Then, those people left with their tails between their legs. Are these people really sent by the Jin clan and Qin clan? After being challenged continuously, Lu Ming had some doubts. If it was the Jin clan and Qin clan, it would be enough to challenge him once or twice. However, this was already 4 or 5 times. Lu Ming could not help but think of the assassination attempt on his way to the Starry Sky Camp. Who was the one who sent them? Also, wasn't the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence behind the Demon Capital Mountain? How could they be eliminated by the Starry Sky Camp as a test for the newcomers? Could it be that the person who gave the test to the newcomers was the backer of the Demon Capital Mountain? The other party wanted to eliminate the Demon Capital Mountain and destroy the evidence. This was very possible. If that was the case, The Dark Knight Devil King would definitely have evidence in his hands. Therefore, Lu Ming was assassinated on his way to the Starry Sky Camp. Among the people who challenged him, there might be someone sent by the other party who wanted to kill him and take away the evidence in his hands. The more Lu Ming thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. However, it was impossible to investigate from the person who gave the test to the newcomers. Lu Ming had already asked Wu Ming and Wu Yu about this. The person who gave the test was an ordinary elder of the Starry Sky Camp. It was obvious that the other party would not give the order personally. It would be very difficult to investigate through special means. Lu Ming moved his hand and the Dark Knight Devil King's storage ring appeared in his hand. If there was evidence, it would definitely be in the storage ring. However, Lu Ming looked through it a few times and found nothing. Let's look at it again. Lu Ming continued to look through it, but he still found nothing. Clang, clang, clang. At this moment, the sound of a bell could be heard from the Star Peak. What happened? Lu Ming was curious and walked out of the room with Autumn Moon. Star Crescent Ancient City will open in 10 days. Those who want to enter and try their luck, gather at the plaza at the foot of the mountain in 10 days. A voice came from the top of the Star Peak and spread throughout the Starry Sky Camp. Everyone could hear it. Star Crescent Ancient City is opening again. This time, I must go in. I must awaken the origin God Force factor. Haha, this is my opportunity. Instantly, the Starry Sky Camp became noisy. Many of the senior members were excited. Star Crescent Ancient City? What is that? Is it a historical site? Lu Ming and Autumn Moon were puzzled. Let's ask Wu Ming and Wu Yu. Autumn Moon said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Then, he and Autumn Moon flew towards the foot of the mountain. Soon, the two of them arrived at the foot of the mountain. A disgusting smell could be smelled. At this moment, the members of the Starry Sky Camp at the foot of the mountain had left their wooden houses and were discussing the Star Crescent Ancient City. When they saw Lu Ming and Autumn Moon, they all looked at them with envy. Chapter 2992. One day, I'll kill my way up there and fly openly. Me too. Many people clenched their fists and looked at Lu Ming enviously. Living on the Star Peak without any stench and being able to fly freely had become the goal of these people. Lu Ming ignored them. Soon, they found Wu Ming and Wu Yu. Brother Lu, Miss Autumn Moon, why are you here? Wu Ming and Wu Yu said with a smile. After not seeing each other for more than 10 years, Wu Ming and Wu Yu's cultivation had improved significantly. They were not far from reaching the 9th layer Heaven God realm. Brother Wu, I'm here to ask you about the Star Crescent Ancient City. Lu Ming said with a smile. I see, it's because of the Star Crescent Ancient City. We don't know much about it, but we do know that the Star Crescent Ancient City is an ancient ruin. Legend has it that it was left behind from the early days of the Heavenly Palace era. It contains all kinds of fortunate encounters. It's said that every time someone goes there, they will find something there. Someone even managed to awaken the origin God Force factor. Wu Ming explained. His eyes flickered passionately as he spoke. An ancient ruin from the early days of the Heavenly Palace era. Lu Ming was shocked too. Now, it was considered the late days of the Heavenly Palace era. It was unknown how long it had been since the early days of the Heavenly Palace era. I heard that there are all kinds of forbidden areas there that contain treasures. Wu Yu added. Oh, did anyone find any frost-type treasures there? Lu Ming asked. Yes, I heard that there's a forbidden area there that contains frost-type treasures, Wu Yu said. Lu Ming's eyes flickered slightly. If he could find some frost-type treasures in the Star Crescent Ancient City, it would greatly increase his cultivation speed. He must go to the Star Crescent Ancient City. Cultivating step by step was too slow. He could only improve faster by going on adventures. After chatting with Wu Ming and Wu Yu for a while, Lu Ming and Autumn Moon returned to their residence. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. 10 days later, the square at the foot of the mountain was crowded with people. Most of the prodigies of the Starry Camp had arrived. Of course, there was a limit to entering the Star Crescent Ancient City. Those above the Divine King realm were not allowed to enter. The highest level that could enter was a half-step divine king realm. Lu Ming. Wu Ming and Wu Yu walked towards Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. Beside them were a few young men and women, all of whom had extraordinary auras. Wu Ming introduced the young men and women. They were all geniuses of the Wu clan. They cultivated on the Star Peak and their cultivation bases were below the Divine King realm. They greeted each other and got to know each other. "He's here." Suddenly, someone spoke and looked in the direction of the Star Peak. A ray of light flew over from the top of the starry peak. It was a white-haired old man who stood in the air above the square. His body exuded a vast and unfathomable aura. It was hard to tell what cultivation level he was at. "My name is Bai Li, you can call me Elder Bai," the white-haired old man said. "Greetings, Elder Bai." Many people bowed. The experts in charge of the Starry Camp were all sent by the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace. They were the direct descendants of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King and did not belong to any of the clans. "You're all going to enter the Starry Crescent Ancient City, right? First of all, let me remind you that it's very dangerous to enter the Starry Crescent Ancient City. You can lose your life at any time. You'd better think carefully," Bai Li warned seriously. However, no one said a word. Of course, there would be danger when taking risks and looking for opportunities. If they did not dare to go when there was danger, then what was the point of cultivating? They would definitely be left behind by the other geniuses. Bai Li was expressionless as he continued. "Most importantly, those who will enter the Starry Crescent Ancient City will not only be the geniuses of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace but also the geniuses of the other Heavenly King Palaces. There are a total of 4 Heavenly King Palaces that have the path to the Starry Crescent Ancient City. They will also enter." As soon as he said that, many of the new members were shocked. However, the old members seemed to have known about it and were not surprised. "The other Heavenly King Palaces will also enter," many people whispered and their eyes became serious. In the Taishu dynasty, there were a total of 27 Heavenly Kings guarding the various territories. Each Heavenly King Palace was like a country within a country, managing a large area of territory. These Heavenly Kings' palaces did not get along well with each other. Instead, they competed with each other and even attacked each other as if they were 2 different countries. Some of the Heavenly Kings' palaces even had irreconcilable enmity with each other and would kill each other whenever they met. Therefore, if the geniuses of the other Heavenly Kings' palaces entered the Starry Crescent Ancient City, the danger would greatly increase. "Alright, that's all for now. Is there anyone else who wants to withdraw?" "It's not too late to withdraw now," Bai Li said. No one withdrew. "Alright, since no one wants to withdraw, then follow me. I'll allow you to fly," Bai Li said and then flew out of the Starry Crescent camp. Everyone rose into the air and followed Bai Li. After flying for half an hour, they arrived at a secret place. The space there was very strange. It seemed to be shrinking in one direction and in that direction, there was a dark hole. Could that be a wormhole? Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Lu Ming had seen records of wormholes in some ancient books. Most wormholes appeared naturally after the birth of the universe. Wormholes were extremely mysterious. Different wormholes in the universe would connect with each other. After entering a wormhole, one would appear in another place in the universe. Perhaps, in an instant, one would be transported from one starfield to another. Wormholes were different from teleportation portals. Teleportation portals were man-made. When teleporting, it was actually crossing the void, just like a void passage. It also needed time. For example, inter-starfield teleportation would take a lot of time. However, wormholes did not need that time. In an instant, one could go from one starfield to another starfield or even further away. Could it be that one had to go through this wormhole to enter the Starry Crescent Ancient City? "Let's go." Bai Li took the lead and flew into the wormhole. In a flash, his figure disappeared. Then, the old members followed and flew into the wormhole. "Let's go too," a young man from the Wu family said and flew forward. Lu Ming, Qiu Yu, and the rest also entered the wormhole. As soon as Lu Ming entered the wormhole, he was enveloped by a mysterious force. He seemed to see a passage in the void that led to the front. Then, his figure flashed and completely disappeared. In the next moment, his body became lighter and the force disappeared. Lu Ming realized that he was standing on a piece of land. When he looked back, there was also a wormhole behind them. This wormhole was connected to the wormhole in the Starry Crescent camp. If they wanted to go back, they could directly enter this wormhole and return to the Starry Crescent camp. Then, Lu Ming looked around. They were standing on a very flat piece of land. In front of them, there was a majestic ancient city that stood between heaven and earth. Chapter 2993. It was an ancient city that was incomparably huge. It looked like an ancient beast that was crawling on the ground. The city walls towered into the clouds. From afar, one could not tell how big the city was because they could not see the edge of the city walls. It was as if they could only see one side of the city walls but not the other side. Star Crescent Ancient City. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Let's go. Bai Li flew forward and the others followed closely behind. As they got closer to the city walls, they realized that the city walls were huge and ancient. It was filled with the aura of time as if it had traveled through time and space from the beginning of the universe. Soon, they arrived at the foot of the city walls and discovered that there was a gate at the foot of the city walls. No, to be precise, there were 4 gates. Behind the 4 gates was a common passage that led into the city. The 4 gates were different from each other. The gate on the far left was the largest. It was dazzling and had a noble aura. The second gate from the left was silver white and crystal clear. Although it was not as good as the first gate, it was not bad. The third gate was an ordinary stone gate. As for the 4th gate, it was no longer a gate. It was a hole that could only fit one person. You should have seen these 4 gates. If you want to enter Star Crescent Ancient City, you have to go through these 4 gates. Bai Li pointed at the 4 gates and said, "Can't we just fly in from the top of the city walls?" A new member asked. "Hihi, if you're not afraid of death, you can give it a try." An old member sneered. Suddenly, the new member's expression changed. There are powerful restrictions on the top of the city walls. Even those above the godly king realm will die if they go up there, Bai Li said indifferently. Everyone gasped. Those above the godly king realm would also die if they went up there. The restrictions were too terrifying. Then, the crowd looked at the 4 doors. Did these 4 doors also have something special about them? Sure enough, Bai Li continued to explain. There are restrictions on these 4 gates as well. Those above the godly king realm cannot enter. Only those below the godly king realm can enter. These 4 gates, from left to right, are the Heaven Gate, Earth Gate, Human Gate, and Dog Gate. Bai Li paused when he said that. Heaven Gate, Earth Gate, Human Gate, Dog Gate. Everyone's eyes flickered. As the name implied, among the 4 gates, the Gate of Heaven was the most honorable, while the Gate of Dog was the worst. Most people's eyes fell on the Gate of Heaven. If he wanted to leave, he naturally had to go through the Heavenly Gate. However, no one noticed that many of the older members had complicated expressions on their faces. Some of them even quietly stepped back, indicating that they should go first. Bai Li smiled and said, as the name suggests, the Heavenly Gate is the most honorable, followed by the Earth Gate. But let me tell you, there is a terrifying restriction on the gate that can test one's talent. The more talented one is, the better they can pass through the honorable gate. If one's talent is insufficient and tries to force their way through, they will be killed. Do you understand? You must act according to your capabilities. A fatal disaster. Many of the new members were bewildered. They looked at the old members, but most of the old members stepped back slightly, with an expression that said, "You go first." Looks like this door won't be easy to pass. Lu Ming mumbled. If it was easy to leave, those old members would have already left. With my talent, I'll surely pass through the Gate of Heaven. At this moment, a young man in black stepped out and walked towards the Heaven's Gate. His face was full of confidence. It was obvious that the man was very confident in his talent. Bai Li's eyes flickered, but he did not stop the young man. Everyone's attention was fixed on the young man in a black robe. The difference was that the new members were curious, while the old members were waiting for a good show. Bang! Bang! Even though the young man in a black robe was confident, he did not dare to be careless. He unleashed his God force, encapsulating his body within it. Ninth layer Heaven God Realm. Many people could tell that the young man's cultivation had reached the ninth layer Heaven God Realm. Every step he took was cautious, as if he was on alert. Finally, he stepped into the gate of heaven. However, there was no reaction from the gate of heaven. The young man in a black robe took a few more steps, but nothing happened. The confidence on his face grew thicker. It seems like my talent is good enough. The black-shirted young man smiled and continued to walk forward. However, when he was halfway to the door, his figure suddenly came to a stop. He stood there motionlessly. What's going on? Why did he stop moving? Many people were confused. The trial has begun, Bai Li said. As soon as Bai Li finished his sentence, the young man in a black robe began to tremble vigorously. He let out a cry of agony and was knocked flying out of the gate of heaven. He slammed heavily onto the ground and stopped moving. There was no sign of life on his body. He was dead. The young man in a black robe was dead. The crowd discovered a bloody wound on the young man's forehead. It was a fatal wound. His soul had been destroyed. Many people gasped. They did not see how the young man in a black robe died. What exactly happened in the gate of heaven? Let me tell you, the 4 gates have nothing to do with your cultivation, only your talent. If your talent isn't good enough, you will either die or be severely injured. You should think carefully about which gate you choose. Oh, I forgot to tell you, the last gate won't be stopped. As long as your cultivation is below the God Emperor realm, you will be able to crawl in, Bai Li said. Crawl in through the dog gate? Impossible. With my talent, if the gate of heaven doesn't work, why can't I go through the gate of earth? I'll go through the gate of earth. Many people discussed among themselves. Following that, a young man stepped out and walked toward the gate of earth. The gate of earth was different from the gate of heaven. As soon as the young man stepped into the gate of earth began to glow. Then, rays of light shot toward the young man. The young man roared and used all his strength to defend himself. However, before he could block more than a few moves, the rays of light pierced through all his defenses and penetrated his body. He was torn into pieces and died on the spot. Another prodigy had fallen. All the new members' faces turned ugly. One had to know that the prodigy just now was not weak. How weak could his talent be if he could control divine-grade divine power? However, if he could not even pass through the gate of earth, he would die. Is the gate of earth so difficult? Damn it, did you all pass through the human gate in the past? One of the new members looked at the old members. Pass through the human gate? Hee hee. Some of the older members smiled non-committally. It can't be, right? Many people felt a chill in their hearts. They couldn't have passed through the dog gate, right? A prodigy who controlled divine-grade divine power passed through the dog gate? I don't believe that I can't even pass through the human gate. With a roar, another young man stepped out. This time, he chose the human gate. Chapter 2994. A young man stepped out. A powerful aura erupted from his body and his body was shrouded in divine force. Bam! Step by step, he cautiously stepped into the human gate. Buzz! As soon as he stepped into the human gate, it vibrated slightly and emitted a dazzling light. Then, a ray of divine light flew towards the young man. Block it! The young man roared and his divine force erupted. He pushed his hands forward and a ferocious beast pounced out. Boom! The divine light bombarded the ferocious beast and there was a violent explosion. The ferocious beast trembled violently. Block it, block it! The young man roared and used all his strength. However, in the next moment, the ferocious beast exploded. The young man groaned and retreated. There was a wound on his chest that penetrated his bones. Again, the young man roared and his eyes were filled with determination. He had to succeed. He had to enter the human gate. Otherwise, if he wanted to enter Star Moon Ancient City and obtain the opportunity, he would have to enter through the dog gate. This was unacceptable to him. Bam! Once again, he stepped into the human gate. However, the human gate did not show any mercy. It continued to shine and a ray of divine light blasted towards him. This time, the young man was in an even worse state. His body was almost torn apart. He was sent flying out of the human gate and fell heavily on the ground. His aura was weak, but he managed to survive. A young man who was familiar with him gave him a divine pill to heal his injuries. "Let me tell you. If you can't do it, don't force yourself. Be careful not to lose your life here," Bai Li said coldly. Many people's faces turned ugly. Did they really have to enter through the dog gate? "Let me try." Then, another new member stepped out and stepped into the human gate. However, like the previous person, this person was sent flying out of the human gate, although his injuries were slightly lighter. Those without talent better not go forward. Obediently enter through the dog gate to avoid getting injured. An old member smiled faintly. "That's right. I wonder how many of these new members can pass through the dog gate." Haha. Another old member laughed disdainfully. "Let me do it." At this moment, a cold voice was heard and a young man in a blood-red robe stepped out. Lu Ming recognized this person. He was Wu Shui's senior brother. "It's him." Many of the new members' eyes lit up. The blood-robed young man was definitely the best among this batch of new members. If even he couldn't enter through the human gate, then most of the new members would have to enter through the dog gate. The blood-robed young man's face was cold. His entire body was shrouded in blood-red divine power. Step by step, he stepped into the human gate. Just like before, as soon as the blood-robed young man stepped into the human gate glowed, and a ray of godly light shot toward the blood-robed young man. Blood pool abyss. The blood-robed young man roared as he pushed his hands forward, causing an abyss to appear in front of him. Inside the abyss, blood-red mist constantly rolled, emitting a horrifying aura. The abyss spread out and enveloped the divine light emitted by the human gate. Rumble. Inside the abyss, loud rumbling sounds could be heard. It was shaking continuously as if it was going to explode at any moment. The blood-robed young man shouted as he continuously circulated his divine power. The veins on his face bulged as he tried his best to stabilize the blood pool abyss. Slowly, the tremors in the abyss subsided and finally disappeared. Whoosh! The blood-robed young man heaved a sigh of relief. He was overjoyed as he took a deep breath and continued to step forward. Next, the human gate was very stable and there were no abnormalities. The blood-robed young man successfully passed through the human gate and came to the common passage behind the 4 gates. He passed. Many of the new members were overjoyed. Finally, someone could pass. As long as he could pass, it meant that it was not an impossible task. The power will vary according to one's cultivation level. Lu Ming pondered. Through his observation, Lu Ming realized that the different groups of people who entered the human gate had different cultivation levels. However, the power of the human gate would also be different. The higher one's cultivation level, the stronger the power. No wonder Bai Li said that the test of the 4 gates had nothing to do with one's cultivation level but talent. This gate could test one's talent. After the blood-robed young man passed, he did not immediately enter the passage into Xingyue Ancient City. Instead, he stood there and watched. He wanted to see who could pass through the Earth Gate and if anyone could pass through the Heaven Gate. Following that, more and more people stepped forward. However, they were all new members. The old members did not have any intention to take action and just watched from the side. Most of the new members chose the human gate. Some failed and some succeeded. Lu Ming realized that less than half of them could pass through the human gate. Most of the time, they failed. Those who failed walked to the side dejectedly and did not intend to pass through the dog gate immediately. If they wanted to pass through the dog gate, they would have to wait until the end. With so many people watching, how embarrassing would that be? Bam! At this moment, a figure stepped out and attracted everyone's attention. That was because this person did not step into the human gate but the Earth Gate. Jin Xing. Lu Ming's eyes moved. The person who stepped into the Earth Gate was Jin Xing. It's him, Jin Xing from the Jin family. The others also recognized Jin Xing. I heard that Jin Xing is one of the foremost outstanding young prodigies in the Jin family. Although he's young, his talent is terrifying. Yes, the Jin family is amazing. They have many geniuses, especially in this generation. They have 4 terrifying sky prides and each is more monstrous than the other. I wonder if Jin Xing can pass through the Earth Gate. Many people were discussing. The Jin family was ranked at the top among the major families in the 9 extinction Heavenly King Mansion. They were very powerful. Everyone's eyes fell on Jin Xing. Jin Xing's body was shrouded in golden light as if he was a golden man. 7th level Heavenly God. Back in Qin Tian Galaxy, Jin Xing's cultivation base was 6th level Heavenly God. Now, he had reached 7th level Heavenly God. Dawn. Finally, he stepped into the Earth Gate. The Earth Gate shook slightly. Then, it emitted a dazzling light. A few rays of divine light blasted toward Jin Xing. The human gate only had 1 ray of divine light, while the Earth Gate had 3 rays. Moreover, the rays seemed to be more dazzling. Void-shattering hand. Jin Xing roared. His palms turned golden as he blasted out continuously. A terrifying whistling sound exploded in the air. The void-shattering hand was extremely powerful. It collided with the 3 rays of light from the Earth Gate. Dong, dong, dong. 3 terrifying rumbling sounds rang out as explosions occurred in the void. Powerful qi overflowed in all directions. Jin Xing's entire body was golden, incomparably dazzling. Did he block it? Many people's hearts were in their mouths as they watched with their eyes wide open. The next moment, the light dimmed. Everyone saw Jin Xing's body standing upright on the Earth Gate. He was not injured. He blocked it. Someone exclaimed. He can pass through the Earth Gate. This time, even the senior members were a little surprised. Chapter 2995. One of the Jin family's 4 heroes is indeed extraordinary. Many people exclaimed. This time, another one of the Jin family's 4 heroes came. I heard that his cultivation has reached the half-step Divine King realm. I wonder which door he will pass through. It's Jin Yuan. Jin Yuan has been to Xingyue Ancient City once. Last time, he entered through the Earth Door. This time, he will most likely attempt the Heaven Door. I'm looking forward to it. Many people discussed as they looked at the other golden-robed youth. This youth was tall and sturdy. He was the other member of the Jin family's 4 heroes, Jin Yuan. The Jin family's 4 heroes were not ranked by cultivation, but by talent. In terms of cultivation, many of the younger generation of the Jin family were above Jin Xing. Jin Yuan had his hands behind his back. Obviously, he did not intend to make a move now. Bam! Bam! After Jin Xing blocked the first wave of attacks from the Earth Door, there were no more abnormalities on the Earth Door. He continued to move forward and stepped into the passage behind the door. However, he did not enter Xingyue Ancient City through the passage. Instead, he stood there and watched. In fact, almost none of the other people who had passed through the door had entered Xingyue Ancient City. They were all standing in the passage and watching. This time, they could stay in Xingyue Ancient City for 10 years. They had plenty of time and were not in a hurry. Why aren't you old members moving yet? Let me see if your talent and potential have improved after so many years. At this time, Bai Li spoke as he looked at the old members. Talent wasn't something that would never change. Usually, talent was determined by the heavens. However, that was not always the case. There were some rare treasures in the world that could increase one's potential and accumulate more potential. Some treasures could even improve one's comprehension. Lu Ming's comprehension had improved when he participated in the War of Providence in the Divine Wilderness continent. The most important thing was divine power. The talent of a prodigy who controlled divine-grade divine power would also improve as their divine power awakened. Think about it. The primordial divine spirits that were born at the beginning of the universe. Their divine-grade divine power contained the genes of the primordial divine spirits. When one's divine power awakened, the talent of the cultivator would also skyrocket. Therefore, it did not mean that it would not work now. It did not mean that they could not pass through the human door last time. Bai Li wanted to see how much progress the old members had made. Let me. As soon as Bai Li finished speaking, an old member stepped forward. This person released his aura. He was at the 9th level of the heavenly deity realm. He walked towards the human gate with a solemn expression. The last time he came in, he didn't pass through the human gate and had to crawl through the dog gate in humiliation. This time, he must pass through the human gate. Bang! He stepped into the human gate. Suddenly, the human gate shone, and a beam of divine light slashed at him. He roared angrily and did his best to block the divine light. In the end, he was seriously injured, coughing out large mouthfuls of blood. However, in the end, he stopped it, the divine light scattered. Ha ha ha, I passed. The young man burst out laughing as he stepped into the passageway. His face was filled with excitement. He had failed the last time, but this time, he focused on his cultivation, and the degree of his awakening had increased significantly. Finally, he passed the human gate. The eyes of many old members lit up as they saw hope. Let me. Immediately, another old member walked towards the human gate. This old member also failed to pass through the human gate last time. He entered through the dog gate. When he saw that a young man had passed through the human gate, his confidence increased greatly. However, when he stepped into the human gate and was attacked, he screamed in agony and was blasted out. He was severely injured. He failed. Damn it! That person roared angrily, extremely unwilling to give up. Last time, he passed through the dog gate. This time, he had to pass through the dog gate too. His face was burning. After all, it was not that easy to improve one's talent. The young man from before dared to be the first to go up because he was very confident. As for the person behind him, although his cultivation base had improved compared to the last time, his talent did not. Of course, he failed. The remaining people's expressions became much more serious. Following that, more and more people stepped forward. However, compared to the new members, the old members had a much higher success rate. More than half of them passed through the human gate. Of course, those who did not pass the human gate had extremely ugly expressions. In fact, some of the old members had already begun to attempt the earth gate, and many of them had succeeded. Those who succeeded had a high degree of awakening of their divine power. Those who had awakened more than 80 to 90% of their divine power were about to awaken their origin divine power factor. Look, Jin Yuan is about to make his move. Suddenly, a voice rang out, shocking everyone. Sure enough, Jin Yuan moved. He walked step by step toward the 4 gates. Which gate is he going to choose? The earth gate or the heaven gate? Someone whispered. Everyone was guessing. He chose the heaven gate. Someone exclaimed because Jin Yuan's figure was walking toward the heaven gate. Many people's eyes were filled with anticipation. This time, someone who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth had stepped into the heaven gate. In the end, other than being killed, no one else had stepped into the heaven gate. Could Jin Yuan succeed? Last time, Jin Yuan had passed through the earth gate. As he approached the heaven gate, a dazzling golden light appeared on Jin Yuan's body. Layers of golden divine power shrouded him, and an ancient aura emanated from Jin Yuan's body. Origin divine power factor, Bai Li exclaimed in a low voice. His eyes suddenly lit up. What? Origin divine power factor? Jin Yuan has awakened his origin divine power factor. How terrifying. He can awaken his origin divine power factor at the half-step divine king realm. No wonder he's one of the 4 heroes of the Jin clan, many people exclaimed. It was extremely difficult to awaken one's origin divine power factor. Even prodigies had to reach the divine king realm to awaken their origin divine power factor. Most people might not be able to awaken their origin divine power factor even after reaching the divine king realm. Those who could awaken their origin divine power factor below the divine king realm were extremely rare. Every one of them was a prodigy among prodigies. Jin Yuan belonged to this category. The last time Jin Yuan came to Xingyue Ancient City, he did not awaken his origin divine power factor. This time, he has successfully awakened his origin divine power factor. His talent has greatly increased. It's very likely that he will pass the heaven gate, some people were discussing. At this time, Jin Yuan had already stepped into the heaven gate. The heaven gate was different from the earth gate and the human gate. The first part of the heaven gate was normal. When Gold Ingot was halfway there, he suddenly stopped and began to move. It had begun. Everyone knew that the assessment of the heaven gate had just begun. Everyone held their breaths and watched quietly. They were wondering if Jin Yuan could pass the heaven gate. Every time they came to Xingyue Ancient City, only a few could pass the heaven gate. Sometimes, none could pass the heaven gate. Chapter 2996. Time passed by slowly. 15 minutes later, Jin Yuan's body finally trembled. Many people's hearts also skipped a beat. Would Jin Yuan be able to pass? The next moment, everyone knew the answer. A powerful aura erupted from Jin Yuan's body again. He stood straight and did not retreat. However, his face was a little pale. He stepped forward and continued to walk inside. He passed. He really passed the gate of heaven. This is amazing. Jin Yuan is probably one of the strongest prodigies who entered Star Moon Ancient City this time, right? Indeed. A half-step godly king who has awakened the origin divine power factor is almost invincible among those below the godly king realm. Many people looked at Jin Yuan with fear in their eyes. Those who had not awakened the origin divine power factor would not be able to withstand a single attack from Jin Yuan unless they had some terrifying secret technique. Finally, Jin Yuan stepped into the passage and turned to look at them. He also wanted to see if anyone else could pass the gate of heaven. Jin Yuan, you're not bad. Let me try. At that moment, another young man stepped out. This young man was wearing a beast skin coat and looked like a tycoon. However, no one dared to underestimate him. This was because the aura that he exuded was extremely terrifying. It was filled with an ancient aura that was quite similar to Jin Yuan's aura. Origin divine power factor. Many people were shocked. This person was also a peerless prodigy who had awakened the origin divine power factor. The origin divine power factor was the divine power controlled by the primordial divine spirit. Therefore, once the origin divine power factor was awakened, it would naturally exude an ancient aura. This time, 2 people had awakened the origin divine power factor. This person was very direct and stepped into the gate of heaven. Halfway through, he stopped. A moment later, he came to his senses and successfully passed the gate of heaven. He used about the same time as Jin Xing. Their gazes collided, causing sparks to fly. However, the crowd's shock did not stop. This was because 2 more prodigies stepped out in succession and walked toward the gate of heaven. Moreover, they both passed the gate of heaven. They had all awakened the origin divine power factor. This batch is not bad. There are actually 4 people below the godly king realm who have awakened the origin divine power factor. Bai Li smiled. To be able to awaken the origin divine power factor while below the divine king level, one's future was limitless. Brother Lu, we're going too. Wu Ming and Wu Yu said. Then, they went up together with the other geniuses of the Wu family. In the end, Wu Ming and Wu Yu were injured and finally passed through the human gate. As for the Wu family, a prodigy had passed the earth gate. Autumn Moon, let's go too. Which door do you want to go through? Lu Ming asked Mid-Autumn Moon. Young master, I want to try the gate of heaven. Autumn Moon blinked and looked curiously at the divine gate. Let's give it a try. Lu Ming smiled. Although the heavenly gate was dangerous, he believed in the Mid-Autumn Moon. If Jin Yuan and the others could pass, he did not believe that Autumn Moon could not pass as well. Although Autumn Moon had not awakened her origin divine power factor, she had awakened the 9 orifices sacred heart. It was only a first heaven divine power factor of origin. His talent could not be compared to the 9 orifices sacred heart. Young master, I'll go and wait for you. Chiu Yu smiled and floated out. What a beautiful lady. Many people's eyes lit up when they saw Autumn Moon. However, their eyes widened the next moment. Autumn Moon was walking towards the heavenly gate. She wants to enter the heavenly gate. Someone exclaimed and stuttered. Even Wu Ming, Wu Yu, and the others were shocked. Miss Autumn Moon, please don't. This gate is very dangerous. Wu Ming could not help but shout. Yes, miss. This is not a joke. It's life-threatening. Be careful. The others also spoke. It would be a pity if such a beautiful lady like Autumn Moon were to die. Thank you, everyone. However, I want to give it a try. Autumn Moon smiled and continued to walk into the heavenly gate. Her aura also spread out. Second level heavenly god. Her cultivation is only at second level heavenly god. With such a low cultivation, it's impossible for her to awaken the origin divine force factor. What a pity. Many people sighed. They thought that Chiu Yu was most likely going to die. Soon, Autumn Moon came to the middle of the heavenly gate. Then, she stopped and remained motionless. Everyone watched attentively. Although many people thought that it was impossible for Autumn Moon to pass, they also hoped that Autumn Moon would pass. After all, it was a pity for such a beautiful lady to die here. Time passed slowly. About 5 minutes had passed. Look, she moved. How is it? Something's not right. Someone exclaimed. Because at this moment, Autumn Moon moved. However, she was not blasted out as expected. Instead, she stood there steadily. Could it be that she passed? Impossible, right? But at the next moment, they had to accept this fact because Autumn Moon turned around and smiled at Lu Ming, saying, "Young master, I'll go first." After saying that, she floated forward and landed on the passage. She really passed. How was that possible? A second-level celestial god who had not awakened the divine origin power factor could actually pass through the heavenly gate. How terrifying was her talent! Many young men's eyes were shining with a burning light. With such talent and such a beautiful appearance, many people's hearts began to burn. If they could get such a beauty as their wife, how awesome would that be? Wait a minute. Then, many people couldn't help but look at Lu Ming. Just now, Autumn Moon called Lu Ming young master. Such a beautiful and talented person was actually someone else's maid. What does this kid do? I'll find a chance to teach this kid a lesson. Many people snorted in their hearts and began to think of some ideas. Lu Ming naturally noticed those gazes, but he ignored them and said, "Autumn Moon, I'll be right there." After saying that, Lu Ming stepped out. The door that he walked towards was naturally the heavenly gate. What? This kid also passed through the heavenly gate? No way. Does he think that the heavenly gate is that easy to pass? I don't believe that he can pass through the heavenly gate. Many people whispered and stared at Lu Ming. Many people could see that his cultivation was at the 4th level celestial god realm. It was already a miracle that Autumn Moon could pass through. They didn't believe that Lu Ming could pass through as well. Everyone's eyes fell on Lu Ming, including Jin Xing, Jin Yuan, and some of the geniuses of the Qin family. I hope this kid dies in the heavenly gate. A genius of the Qin family sneered. If Lu Ming died in the heavenly gate, they wouldn't have to make a move. Bai Li's gaze also fell on Lu Ming. He was extremely curious. Previously, when Autumn Moon passed through the heavenly gate, he was already very surprised. Could Lu Ming pass through? Chapter 2997. Lu Ming had a faint smile on his face as he walked into the gate of heaven unhurriedly. Soon, he arrived in the middle of the gate of heaven. As soon as he arrived in the middle of the gate of heaven, Lu Ming felt a force shrouding him. This force was irresistible and ancient. It shrouded Lu Ming's body, making him unable to move. Then, Lu Ming felt his vision go dark. The next moment, he appeared on a platform. "This is my spirit." Lu Ming was stunned. He knew that his physical body must still be outside. What appeared here was his spirit will. Next, there must be a test waiting for him. Sure enough, a figure appeared in front of him. The figure's appearance couldn't be seen clearly. It was like a human's shadow. Whoosh! The shadow moved. There was a long sword in his hand. He stabbed at Lu Ming as fast as lightning. Sky pisser! Lu Ming's mind moved. A long spear condensed in his hand and he stabbed it out. Boom! The The long spear and the sword shadow collided. Lu Ming felt a terrifying sword chi rushing toward him. The long spear in his hand instantly collapsed. His body was pushed back and was almost pierced by the sword. What a powerful force! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Although he had attacked in a hurry and did not activate the battle character art, with his current divine power, a casual strike from his spear could kill an enemy that was several levels higher than him. However, the result was that he was pushed back. It wasn't hard to imagine how others could pass this place. Ordinary sky prides would only be killed in seconds. Whoosh! Since the shadow did not manage to hit Lu Ming, it continued to attack at an alarming speed. Streaks of sword shadows charged toward Lu Ming. Double combat strength. With a thought, he triggered the battle formula to double combat strength. Suddenly, his body was filled with power. It really works. I can trigger the battle formula just by using my spirit will. Lu Ming himself was also taken aback. He was just trying it out. He didn't expect it to work. After triggering the double combat strength, Lu Ming's combat strength skyrocketed. The long spear swept out. Bang! 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 After activating the battle character art, Lu Ming's battle prowess was completely above his opponent's. His spear light crushed his opponent's sword images. In the end, the long spear struck the shadow's body. The shadow's body directly exploded and turned into an illusion. There should be more. Lu Ming muttered. He did not believe that he could pass through the gate of heaven so easily. Sure enough, in the next moment, 3 shadows appeared in front of him and charged towards Lu Ming. However, even the 3 shadows were no match for the current Lu Ming. Moon slaying, Lu Ming displayed the second style of the indestructible 3 strikes. A crescent-shaped spear light swept out and destroyed a shadow. Soon, the 3 shadows were all killed. However, that was not the end. After the 3 shadows disappeared, another 9 shadows appeared. The 9 shadows worked together to lay down a large formation, and the power of the formation increased by many times. Streaks of terrifying sword shadows slashed towards Lu Ming with terrifying power. There was no doubt that if Lu Ming was really hit by the sword shadows, his body would also be seriously injured. In the beginning, when a person stepped into the gate of heaven, he died with a blood mark between his eyebrows and his soul destroyed. Most likely, he suffered such an attack. This made Lu Ming feel a little pressured. Quadruple battle prowess. Lu Ming did not bother to delay and directly activated the battle character art to quadruple his battle prowess. After quadrupling his battle prowess, Lu Ming naturally defeated his opponent in a crushing manner. Under the pressure of the long spear, the shadows kept exploding and finally disappeared. Is it over? It can't be so fast. Lu Ming whispered. Sure enough, it was not that simple. In the next moment, 18 shadows appeared and formed a large formation, charging towards Lu Ming. Should I try the ancient god body? Forget it, it's better to keep a low profile. Lu Ming thought about it and decided not to use the ancient god body. After using the ancient god body, he would definitely be crushed again. If this was the last round, then the time Lu Ming used was too short. It had only been a little more than a minute since he entered the gate of heaven. Previously, Jin Yuan and the others took 15 minutes. Autumn Moon also took 5 minutes. If he finished it in a minute, it would be too shocking. Therefore, he was entangled with the 18 shadows. Even the large formation formed by the 18 shadows was no match for Lu Ming. Therefore, Lu Ming dealt with it easily. Almost 5 minutes had passed. Lu Ming's spear suddenly changed and its power increased sharply. Boom! The spear light pressed down like a mountain and destroyed the opponent's large formation. Then, he attacked continuously and killed all 18 shadows. There should be no more. Lu Ming muttered. If there were more, he did not believe that Jin Yuan and the others could pass. As expected, after the shadows disappeared this time, a force appeared. Lu Ming's vision turned black again. The next moment, when he opened his eyes, he found that he was still standing in the middle of the gate of heaven. It's not that difficult. Lu Ming stretched and smiled at Autumn Moon. Then, he stepped forward, passed through the gate of heaven, and walked to Autumn Moon's side. Past. Many people were dumbfounded and completely stunned. Autumn Moon had passed, and now, Lu Ming had passed. One was a level 2 celestial god, and the other was a level 4 celestial god. What was going on? Were their talents really that terrifying? Humph. The people of the Qin family, Jin Xing, and the others looked gloomy. This time, it's amazing. Bai Li's eyes lit up as he glanced at Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. He knew the difficulty of the Gate of Heaven better than the others. Those who could pass without awakening the origin divine power factor were unimaginably talented. It was rare to meet such geniuses, but now, there were two of them at the same time. Amazing. Wu Ming, Wu Yu, and a few other people of the Wu family were amazed. I don't believe it. Is the difficulty of the Gate of Heaven lowered this time? At this moment, someone shouted. A young man in a yellow robe stepped forward. Lowered? Many people were stunned. That's right. I suspect that the difficulty of the Gate of Heaven has lowered this time. Otherwise, how could so many people pass? Even two level 2 and level 4 heavenly gods who have not awakened the origin divine power factor can pass? I don't believe it, the young man in the yellow robe said. But someone tried it before and was killed in an instant. Someone questioned. That's because that person is too useless, the young man in the yellow robe said. Humph, if you think the difficulty has lowered, then you can give it a try. Jin Yuan snorted coldly. The young man in the yellow robe said that the difficulty of the Gate of Heaven had lowered. Wasn't that doubting his talent? Of course, he was unhappy. That's what I want. I'm going to give it a try, the young man in the yellow robe said. After saying that, he walked toward the Gate of Heaven. The aura on his body bloomed, and a powerful pressure spread in all directions. This person was also a half-step divine king. Only 80% of the origin divine power factor has been awakened. Jin Yuan snorted coldly. Chapter 2998. The young man in yellow robes released his divine power. Jin Yuan could tell that the young man's divine power had been awakened to about 80% of his divine power. If even the two of them can pass, it means that I've awakened 80% of my divine power. That's enough, the young man in yellow robes said coldly. Then, he stepped forward and stepped into the Gate of Heaven. However, when he stepped into the Gate of Heaven, his expression became serious. Although he said that the difficulty of the Gate of Heaven had been reduced, he did not dare to relax at all. He was fully alert. When he was halfway to the heavenly gate, he was like Lu Ming previously. His body froze and he did not move. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the young man in yellow robes. If he could pass the Gate of Heaven, it meant that the difficulty of the Gate of Heaven had indeed been reduced. 2 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, the young man in yellow robes trembled. How is it? Everyone's hearts trembled. Then, the young man in yellow robes screamed. His body flew out of the Gate of Heaven as if he had been hit by a giant beast. He crashed to the ground and vomited blood. His aura was extremely weak. Everyone saw that there was a crack between the young man's eyebrows. Blood was flowing out continuously. The yellow-robed young man's eyes were filled with terror. He had almost died. It was obvious that the young man in yellow robes had failed. He had failed miserably and had almost died. The difficulty of the Gate of Heaven has not been reduced at all, someone whispered. Upon hearing this, everyone's gaze returned to Lu Ming and Qiu Yu. The difficulty of the Gate of Heaven had not been reduced. Lu Ming and Autumn Moon had each taken 5 minutes to pass. It was obvious that both of them were terrifyingly talented. In particular, Jin Xing, Jin Yuan, and the other prodigies who had passed the Gate of Heaven looked at Lu Ming with murderous intent. Everyone, we'll leave it to you to enter Xingyue Ancient City. Lu Ming must die in Xingyue Ancient City. At that moment, a few prodigies from the Qin family secretly transmitted their voices to the other prodigies. He transmitted his voice to a few prodigies from a few families who were on good terms with the Qin family. Don't worry. As long as we meet him in Xingyue Ancient City, we won't let him come out alive. Those prodigies replied. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to have sensed something and suddenly turned to look in the direction of the Qin family prodigy. Just now, he had felt many murderous intents landing on him. It seems that in addition to the Jin family and the Qin family, there are other geniuses who want to kill me. A cold smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. If they wanted to kill him, they had to be prepared to be killed by him. Then, someone else chose to enter through the gate. Autumn Moon, let's go. Lu Ming watched for a while and lost interest. He pulled Autumn Moon's hand and walked towards the tunnel. Yeah, let's go too. Most of the experts have already made their moves. There's nothing much to see next. It's boring to watch people crawl through dog doors. Let's go. As soon as Lu Ming and Autumn Moon left, the others couldn't sit still any longer. One after another, they walked into the tunnel. Inside the passageway was not Star Moon Ancient City, but a door of light. A portal. It seems that this is the gate that leads to the inner part of Star Moon Ancient City. Lu Ming smiled and then stepped into the door of light with Autumn Moon. Then, the others stepped into the door of light and disappeared. After most of the people had entered the door of light, those outside also moved. Some of them blushed and crawled through the door of dog doors. Then, they lowered their heads and ran into the door of light. Half a day later, everyone had entered the door of light. Only Bai Li was left outside. The prodigies of the 4 heavenly kings have gathered. This time, I hope that they won't lose too much. I also hope that they will gain something. Bai Li muttered to himself and sat down cross-legged outside the room. He had to wait here for 10 years. As soon as Lu Ming stepped into the door of light, he felt as if he was traveling through the void. In the next moment, Lu Ming found himself in a canyon. Lu Ming frowned because he realized that Autumn Moon was not beside him. Lu Ming rose into the air and looked around. In the end, he realized that he was in a primitive forest. There was no sign of Autumn Moon. I've miscalculated. It turns out that entering Star Moon Ancient City is a random teleportation. Lu Ming whispered and could not help but worry. Among the prodigies who had entered Star Moon Ancient City, Autumn Moon's cultivation was the weakest. He was only a level 2 heavenly god. If he encountered someone with evil intentions, he would be in danger. Autumn Moon is also a person with great fortune. He should be fine, Lu Ming comforted himself. He took out his voice transmission jade talisman and realized that it could not be used. I'd better cultivate while looking for Autumn Moon. Lu Ming pondered for a while and then looked around. In the end, he realized that he had no idea where he was. He was surrounded by a primitive forest. I didn't expect that there would be a primitive forest in Star Moon Ancient City, Lu Ming mumbled. He then chose a direction and flew forward. The primitive forest was dense with divine aura. However, he did not find any living creatures. He did not find any divine beasts or desolate beasts. It was dead silent. After flying for a few hours, Lu Ming was still in the primitive forest. I'm so unlucky to be teleported to the wilderness as soon as I entered. Lu Ming curled his lips. In the end, he performed the 9 heavens Kuan Peng technique and transformed into a Kuan Peng to roam the 9 heavens. Just like that, Lu Ming flew for a day before he finally flew out of this primitive forest and saw the buildings. In front of him, there were many palaces built on top of a mountain. After flying in, he realized that these palaces were very dilapidated. Only ruins were left. However, these were the remains of the early heavenly palace era. Lu Ming was very curious and decided to go in and take a look. Boom! At this moment, there was a loud explosion from the ruins. Divine power surged and gravel flew everywhere. Then, 2 figures flew out from the ruins and engaged in an intense battle in the air. It was obvious that the 2 of them were the supreme talents of the Starry Camp and they were fighting fiercely. However, when they saw Lu Ming, they were all shocked and retreated one after another. It's him. When the 2 of them saw Lu Ming, they recognized Lu Ming. After all, Lu Ming had passed the heavenly gate. The supreme talents of the Starry Camp remembered Lu Ming. It's this kid. Previously, the Qin family asked the Sun family to help them kill this kid. Looks like I'm lucky to have met this kid. Furthermore, this person's talent is so high. He might have a great opportunity on him. If I kill him, his opportunity will be mine. One of the young men with a big nose had a murderous look in his eyes. At the same time, there was greed in his eyes. Wang Tong, let's forget about today's matter. You can leave now. I won't be calculative with you. At the thought of this, the young man with a big nose looked at the person who had just fought with him and said. Chapter 2999. The big-nosed young man asked the person who was fighting with him to leave. The person smirked, but chose to leave in the end. His strength was slightly weaker than the big-nosed young man. If the battle dragged on, he would not stand a chance. He glanced at Lu Ming with a smirk, before turning into a ray of light and leaving the place. As soon as the young man left, the big-nosed young man appeared beside Lu Ming with a flicker. A wisp of aura locked onto Lu Ming. Are you trying to kill me? Lu Ming said calmly with a spurious smile on his face. You're not stupid either. The big-nosed young man's eyes turned cold. A powerful aura burst out from his body, covering the area within 10,000 li. The big-nosed young man was a 9th-layer Heaven God Realm cultivator. His god force had also awakened to a certain extent, but it was less than 50%. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think I've offended you. Tell me, who sent you to kill me? Jin clan or Qin clan? Lu Ming asked. Why are you asking so many questions when you're about to die? The big-nosed young man smirked. Oh, it's fine if you don't want to tell me. It's either the Jin clan or the Qin clan. Speaking of which, I don't think you're well informed. Are you sure you can kill me? Lu Ming said with a smile. The big-nosed young man most likely did not know he had defeated Leng Ying. Otherwise, he would not be so confident. What do you mean? The big-nosed young man was startled. I mean, I'll send you on your way now. Lu Ming's cold voice could be heard. Following it, Lu Ming stepped forward. His body expanded rapidly, transforming into the flesh of the ancient god. Meanwhile, the battle character art was activated, which amplified his strength by 4 times. A ferocious aura surged in the direction of the big-nosed young man. This aura impossible. The big-nosed young man was astounded when he sensed Lu Ming's aura. Lu Ming's aura made his heart tremble. Bang! Lu Ming attacked. A giant spear glow was fired at the big-nosed young man. Path of War! Roared the big-nosed young man. A long spear appeared in his hand, which he waved through the air, causing numerous war chariots to appear. There were even warriors on the war chariots. The war chariot rumbled towards Lu Ming. The big-nosed young man came from the Sun family, a great family in the 9-extinction Heavenly King Mansion. The secret skill was unique to the Sun family and its power was shocking. However, when Lu Ming's spear light pressed down, the chariots collapsed one by one. Following this, all the chariots shattered into pieces. Boom! Under the pressure of the spear, the big-nosed young man was forced to retreat while vomiting blood. How is that possible? How can he be so strong? The big-nosed young man roared in his heart. Indeed, he didn't know that Lu Ming had defeated Leng Ying. Therefore, he assumed that Lu Ming was merely a 4th-level heavenly god. No matter how talented he was, he couldn't be that strong. Never would he have thought that he would be severely injured in just one move. Run! The big-nosed young man immediately turned around and ran. It's too late to run now. Lu Ming's cold voice appeared. He executed the 9 heavens Kuanping art, summoning a Kuanping. With a flap of its wings, Lu Ming immediately chased after the big-nosed young man. Sky-piercing. Lu Ming thrust his spear forward, firing a spear glow at the big-nosed young man at a shocking pace. The big-nosed young man let out a furious roar when he realized that he had no chance of running away. He swung his spear to defend himself. However, he was knocked flying once again. He flew for a few thousand li. His arm was torn apart, resulting in a serious injury. The big-nosed young man's strength was on par with Leng Ying's. Previously, when Lu Ming was fighting Leng Ying, he still had to put in some effort. However, now that Lu Ming was circulating 7 different kinds of god force in his body, even though most of his god force had yet to reach its peak, his strength had improved significantly. He could easily crush Leng Ying. Lu Ming, if you dare to kill me, the Sun family won't forgive you. The big-nosed young man yelled. Kill. Lu Ming could not be bothered to talk nonsense with his opponent. He launched a barrage of attacks. The big-nosed young man barely managed to block a few more moves before his head was struck by Lu Ming's spear, killing him instantly. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming kept the big-nosed young man's storage ring. His figure flashed as he rushed toward the ruins on the mountain peak. It was unknown how many years had passed since the collapse of the ruins. It was conceivable that there must have been a great array around the mountain in the distant past. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for the ruins to still exist after such a long time had passed. Most likely, nothing was left of the ruins. Lu Ming looked around and was slightly disappointed as he did not find anything. Lu Ming did not linger. He soared into the sky and left the place. In the following day, Lu Ming did not find anything. Hey, that's... On this day, Lu Ming was flying when he suddenly felt something strange ahead. He could vaguely feel a pressure coming from ahead. In Xingyue ancient city, he could not let go of any abnormalities. Lu Ming's figure flashed as he flew forward. Not long after, Lu Ming made a discovery. There was a statue standing in a wide area in front of him. The statue was very huge, at least 100 miles tall, and it stood in the clouds. However, this statue was headless, with only the lower half of its body standing on the ground. The pressure was coming from the statue. The closer he got to the statue, the greater the pressure. Lu Ming's body was pressed down, making it difficult for him to circulate the divine power in his body. It was as if he was carrying 1,000 pounds of shackles. Lu Ming saw that there were a few figures around the statue. Some of them were approaching the statue, while others were standing still with their bodies trembling slightly as if they were resisting the pressure of the statue. They are using the pressure of the statue to polish their foundation. Lu Ming immediately guessed the intention of those people. His eyes also lit up. Previously on the demon capital mountain, in order to resist the formation set up by the 3 demon masters and more than 2,500 demon capital guards, he had forcibly absorbed the energy of the star core to break through to the next level. Although he had successfully broken through to the 4th layer heaven god realm, it had also brought him a hidden danger, which was the instability of his foundation. If his foundation was unstable, even if the divine power in his body was full, it would be difficult for him to break through to the next level. He would have to spend a lot of time to polish his foundation. Meanwhile, the statue was emitting a terrifying pressure, which Lu Ming could use to polish his foundation. Lu Ming stepped forward and landed 1,000 miles away from the statue. He then stepped forward and walked toward the statue. As Lu Ming approached the statue, the pressure he felt increased. It was as if he was carrying a godly mountain on his back. It was the same for his divine power. It was getting harder and harder to circulate it. Lu Ming was overjoyed instead of being shocked. He needed this kind of pressure, the kind that was applied to his divine power. However, the pressure is not enough. Lu Ming murmured as he continued to move forward. Soon, he had surpassed the 2 young men. Chapter 3000. It's him. The 2 young men glanced at Lu Ming. It was obvious that they recognized Lu Ming. However, they only took a quick glance at the statue before continuing with their cultivation. Not enough, keep going. Lu Ming continued to move closer to the statue. Soon, Lu Ming was 100 li away from the statue. At this distance, the pressure from the statue had reached a shocking level. Lu Ming's body began to tremble. He could feel the god force in his body struggling to circulate. All right, this is the place. Lu Ming sat down with his legs crossed. He closed his eyes and began to execute the Universe Tao technique to strengthen his foundation. The cultivation lasted for half a year. In the beginning, it was extremely difficult to circulate the god force. It would take him a few days to complete a cycle, but now, Lu Ming was able to complete a cycle within an hour. It was 10 times more comfortable than before. This pressure is indeed a good place to strengthen my foundation. At this moment, Lu Ming ended his cultivation. In just half a year, Lu Ming could feel that his foundation was extremely sturdy. It would take him at least a few hundred years to achieve this outside. It did save me a lot of time, but I've spent half a year here. It's time to leave. Lu Ming pondered. He had no idea how the Star Crescent ancient city was doing in half a year. Lu Ming rose to his feet and left the statue. When he was 1,000 li away from the statue, the god force in his body began to circulate at a shocking pace. It's so pure and smooth. Lu Ming was overjoyed. His foundation was even sturdier than before. He was able to circulate the god force smoothly without any hindrance. Now, once the god force in his body was replenished, he could attempt to rank up to the 5th layer heaven god realm. The past half a year has been worth it. Lu Ming smiled. He rose into the sky and planned to leave the place. However, at that instant, a few rays of light sprang out from the ground not far away. They came from different directions and surrounded Lu Ming. "Kid, you've finally come out," one of them said coldly. "The people of the Qin clan." Lu Ming's gaze turned cold. These young men were all from the Qin clan. The Qin clan members all had a scale between their eyebrows, making them easy to recognize. It was obvious that the Qin clan's people had been waiting here for a long time. They were waiting for Lu Ming to leave the area where the statue was so that they could attack him. This was because Lu Ming had been under tremendous pressure from the statue. It was inconvenient for them to make a move. "Brat, we have wasted a few months because of you. We want you to know that there is only one consequence for killing a member of the Qin clan." A young man from the Qin family exuded a powerful aura. Half-step divine king realm. Moreover, this person's body faintly emitted an ancient and desolate aura. Although this person had not awakened the origin divine power factor, the degree of awakening was not low. His strength was definitely extremely shocking. For the time being, Lu Ming was still no match for such a prodigy. Furthermore, the Qin clan had more than one genius of such caliber. There were 2 of them. On top of that, there were 2 other 9th layer heaven god realm geniuses. The 4 of them surrounded Lu Ming. "Qin Wuyo, you're just courting death," Lu Ming said coldly. At the same time, his eyes darted around, trying to find a way to escape. Fighting head-on would definitely not work. The other party's strength was above his. Fighting head-on would be foolish. Escaping was the best option. "Who do you think you are? You're just a piece of trash from the Qin Tian Starfield. The Qin clan's people can kill you whenever they want to. You can only wait to be killed. Do you understand?" A young man from the Qin clan said coldly, looking high and mighty. Lu Ming smiled faintly and was too lazy to reply. There was nothing to say to such a person. "Kill." Suddenly, Lu Ming roared and punched out continuously. 7 9-clawed dragon roared and flew out, pouncing towards a half-step divine king realm expert from the Qin clan. "You're overestimating yourself," the young man from the Qin clan shouted coldly. His body shook and violent divine power gushed out. Then, he punched out, and a huge fist print rushed out, shaking the void. Lu Ming's 7 9-clawed dragon collapsed one after another. The young man looked arrogant. Just as he was about to say something to show off, he saw Lu Ming's actions and shouted, "Watch out." It turned out that Lu Ming did not continue to attack him. Lu Ming's attack was just a facade. After Lu Ming attacked, he retreated rapidly and rushed towards a 9th-level heavenly god realm expert. At the same time, his body swelled rapidly and turned into an ancient god realm expert. Lu Ming's goal was to escape. Boom! Lu Ming shot out his spear towards the 9th-level heavenly god realm expert from the Qin clan. 7 injuries divine fist. The young man reacted and threw out a punch. A huge fist print blasted towards Lu Ming. However, a 9th-level heavenly god realm expert who had not awakened his divine power origin was no match for Lu Ming. The spear light blasted past and the fist print shattered. The young man from the Qin clan retreated rapidly and coughed out blood. Lu Ming dashed over and cast the 9 heavens Kuan Peng technique, dashing forward. "Stay here." The other half-step divine king realm expert from the Qin clan saw Lu Ming's attack and attacked too. A fist print rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming was about to fly forward, but he was a step too slow and the fist landed on his body. Bang! Lu Ming's body shook violently and he staggered, almost falling down. Green scales flew off his back and a huge hole was blasted open by the fist print. Fresh blood flowed out. "I'll remember this." Lu Ming roared furiously. He endured the pain and continued to fly. Chase. The 4 young men from the Qin clan chased after Lu Ming. In the blink of an eye, both parties had disappeared. The 2 parties flew out a few 100,000 miles in the blink of an eye. The 2 9th-level Heavenly God Realm experts from the Qin clan could not keep up with their speed and fell behind. However, the 2 half-step Divine King Realm experts of the Qin clan were slowly closing the distance between them and Lu Ming. Damn it! Lu Ming's face darkened. He had just taken a blow from a half-step God King from the Qin family and was injured. He was not in his best condition. Otherwise, he might be able to escape if he used the 9 Heavens Kuan Peng technique. However, his speed was now slightly behind his opponent. "Kid, you can't escape," one of the young men from the Qin clan shouted coldly with killing intent. Lu Ming did not say anything and continued to fly. Soon, the distance between both parties was even closer. 7 injuries Divine Fist. One of the young men from the Qin clan attacked with a punch. This young man from the Qin clan had probably awakened his divine force to 60% or even 70%. His attack was terrifyingly powerful with his half-step Divine King Realm cultivation. The space whistled as the terrifying fist energy approached Lu Ming. Moon slashing. Lu Ming turned around and struck out with his long spear. A crescent-shaped spear light burst out and rushed towards the incoming fist print. Chapter 3001. Lu Ming slashed out a crescent-shaped spear light, clashing with the Qin clan's genius fist. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion erupted. The crescent-shaped spear light shook violently before it shattered. A powerful force rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body trembled as he retreated rapidly. His blood and qi churned within his body, causing him to almost spit out a mouthful of blood. The divine energy of a half-step Divine King was already extremely dense. In addition, he had awakened 60 to 70% of his divine energy. The power was too terrifying. Even Lu Ming, who had gathered 7 types of divine energy, couldn't withstand it. However, the young man from the Qin clan was even more shocked. What's going on with this kid? He's a 4th-level heavenly god. What a monster. Moreover, his divine energy feels mixed and impure. Why is it so powerful? The young man from the Qin clan was puzzled. He could clearly feel that Lu Ming's divine energy was mixed and impure. It seemed to be caused by an unstable foundation. However, its power was shockingly strong. A 4th-level heavenly god who hadn't awakened his divine energy was almost on par with his divine energy. He would never have thought that Lu Ming's divine energy wasn't mixed and impure. Instead, it contained 7 different types of divine energy. After exchanging a blow, Lu Ming turned around and continued flying. "You can't escape." The 2 young men from the Qin clan continued to chase after him. At this moment, Lu Ming saw a mountain peak in front of him. There were a few young men on the peak who seemed to be resting. "They are the geniuses of the Wu clan." Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Those young men on the peak were obviously the geniuses of the Wu clan. Lu Ming saw Wu Ming and Wu Yu among them. At this moment, Wu Ming and Wu Yu also saw Lu Ming. This ancient god body. It's brother Lu Ming. He's from the Qin clan. Damn it. Brothers, attack. Wu Ming and Wu Yu immediately recognized Lu Ming and the geniuses of the Qin clan. Without thinking, they knew what was going on and immediately roared. "Leave it to us." On the mountain peak, 2 sky prides of the Wu family soared into the sky and rushed towards the sky prides of the Qin family like 2 meteors. 2 half-step divine kings working together to deal with a 4th-layer celestial god. Your Qin clan is truly shameless. Let us be your opponents. A young man from the Wu family sneered. He slashed out with his sword from far away. Whoosh! A sword light traversed a distance of several thousand miles and slashed towards a young man from the Qin family. The sword light was resplendent, and its might was astonishing. That Qin clan youth had no choice but to stop and block. Boom! He threw out a punch and blocked the sword light. His body also stopped. At the same time, another genius from the Wu clan made his move and blocked the other young man from the Qin clan. The two geniuses of the Qin clan were both blocked. This is a matter of the Qin clan. This man has killed a genius of the Qin clan. Does the Wu clan want to meddle in this? A young man from the Qin clan said coldly. So what if I'm a busybody? Lu Ming is a friend of my Wu family. If you want to kill him, it's the same as killing a member of my Wu family, a genius from the Wu clan said with a faint smile. In the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace, the Wu clan's strength was not any weaker than the Qin clan. There was no need for them to be afraid of the Qin clan. The two young men from the Qin clan looked displeased. The two geniuses from the Wu clan were not any weaker than them. One of them had even entered the Earth Gate. His talent was shocking, and his combat strength was stronger than them. They knew that with the help of the Wu clan, they would not be able to kill Lu Ming today. Humph, kid, consider yourself lucky. I hope you can keep going. The next time we meet, it'll be your death date. One of the young men from the Qin clan stared coldly at Lu Ming. That's what I want to say to you. The next time we meet, it'll be your death date. Lu Ming replied coldly. He would remember the grudge of being hunted down today. Hehe, you think you can do that? One of the young men from the Qin clan laughed disdainfully and turned around to leave. Soon, the two young men from the Qin clan disappeared. Brother Lu, are you all right? Wu Yu and Wu Ming flew over. Lu Ming turned into a normal person and laughed. I'm fine. Thank you for saving me this time. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to get away. This time, if he did not meet the geniuses from the Wu clan, he would have to risk his life. The only way he could risk his life was to ignite his ancient god heart. After igniting his ancient god heart, he would definitely be able to kill the two geniuses from the Qin clan. However, the loss would be too great. It was not worth it to ignite his ancient god heart for two geniuses from the Qin clan. Brother Lu, you're too kind. Since we're friends, how could we sit back and do nothing? One of the geniuses from the Wu clan laughed. The other two geniuses from the Wu clan were called Wu Zhixiong and Wu Shu. Both of them were half-step divine kings. Wu Zhixiong's talent was stronger. His divine force had awakened to 90%. He was not far from fully awakening his origin divine force factor. He had already passed the Earth Gate. Of course, from 90% to fully awakening one's origin divine force factor, it was extremely difficult to do so. 90% of them would be stuck and would not be able to make the final breakthrough. Lu Ming smiled and did not say much. He did not need to express his gratitude. He would just keep it in his heart. Wait, something was wrong. Suddenly, Lu Ming thought of a problem. Brothers Wu, how did all of you get together? Could it be that you were all teleported together? Lu Ming asked. No, we were separated when we teleported in. We only gathered together after we contacted each other through the voice transmission Jade Talisman, Wu Zhixiong said. Voice transmission Jade Talisman? You mean the voice transmission Jade Talisman can be used here? Lu Ming quickly said. Of course it can be used. Why? Brother Lu, what's wrong? Wu Ming asked. Lu Ming's face darkened and his eyes flashed with worry. He had sent a voice transmission to Chou Moon not long after he arrived. However, the voice transmission Jade Talisman could not be used. He thought the voice transmission Jade Talisman could not be used here. Lu Ming immediately took out the voice transmission Jade Talisman and sent a voice transmission to Chou Moon. However, the result was the same. What's going on? Lu Ming's heart sank and his face became even uglier. Brother Lu, what's wrong? Wu Ming and the others also noticed that something was wrong and asked again. Why can't my voice transmission Jade Talisman send a message? Lu Ming told them about the voice transmission Jade Talisman he sent to Chou Moon. Can't send a message? Brother Lu, please send a message for me, Wu Ming said. Lu Ming quickly sent a voice transmission to Wu Ming, but it was unimpeded. Lu Ming's face became even uglier. Could something really have happened to Cho Moon? Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. Brother Lu, don't worry. The voice transmission Jade Talisman is indeed suppressed in Xingyue Ancient City. If the distance is too far, it's normal that it can't be transmitted. Moreover, if Miss Cho Moon is in an isolated place, it's possible that the message can't be transmitted. Wu Zixiong comforted Lu Ming. Chapter 3002. Wu Zixiong comforted Lu Ming, but Lu Ming's heart was still heavy and he was worried. Let's hope that the mid-autumn moon will be blessed. Lu Ming could only comfort himself in this way. Brothers Wu, if we meet the mid-autumn moon in the future, can you help me take care of her? Lu Ming said. Brother Lu, you're being too polite. That's for sure. I'll find some friends to inquire about the whereabouts of the mid-autumn moon, Wu Zixiong said. Thank you, Brother Wu. Lu Ming cupped his fists. By the way, Brother Lu, where are you going next? Wu Zixiong asked again. I heard that there are some forbidden areas in Xingyue Ancient City. Some of them are extremely cold places with extremely cold treasures. I'd like to try my luck there, Lu Ming said. Forbidden areas? Wu Zixiong's face froze slightly and he said, Brother Lu, some of the forbidden areas in Xingyue Ancient City are very dangerous. If you want to go there, you have to be careful. Thank you, Brother Wu. Lu Ming will be careful, Lu Ming said with a smile. Brother Lu, if you keep going north, you'll find a forbidden area of extreme cold. By the way, I have a simple map here. You may need it. After saying that, Wu Zixiong took out a map and handed it to Lu Ming. Map. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He opened it and took a look. There were some routes and some special places that had been marked out. There was a forbidden area north of here. It was called the Cold Underworld Forbidden Area. It was filled with cold underworld qi and was very dangerous. This map was drawn by the Wu family's geniuses when they entered Xingyue Ancient City. It's relatively simple, but it can be used. Wu Zixiong said. Since you gave me the map, you guys, Lu Ming hesitated. Haha, of course we have a backup. Wu Zixiong smiled. Lu Ming patted his head. He was worried about the mid-autumn moon and was a little absent-minded. He was really confused. How could the Wu family not have a backup of such a map? Then Lu Ming will take his leave. See you another day. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Take care. Wu Ming and the others also cupped their fists. Then, Lu Ming turned and left, heading north. A few hours later, Lu Ming found a secluded place and sat cross-legged. He swallowed a healing pill and began to heal his injuries. Previously, he had taken a blow from the Qin clan's paragon head-on and was severely injured. A few days later, Lu Ming recovered to his peak state. Then, he left this place and continued to head north. Star Moon Ancient City was like a world of its own. Lu Ming flew for several days before finally arriving at his destination, the frigid Nether Forbidden Land. The frigid Nether Forbidden Land was filled with frigid nether qi. It was said that someone had once obtained a treasure of extreme yin and extreme frost in the frigid Nether Forbidden Land. Lu Ming was looking for this kind of treasure to speed up the refinement of the stellar core. He wanted to fill up the 5 types of divine-grade divine power in his body as soon as possible and then break through to the next realm. Looking from afar, there was not a single blade of grass growing in the cold Nether Forbidden Land. There was only a grey mist drifting about. This grey mist was the frigid nether qi. Whoosh! At this moment, a ray of light flew over from not far away. In the next instant, the light receded and a figure appeared in the sky. It was a woman. She was tall and had perfect curves. Her skin was whiter than snow, and she had a peerless face. What a beautiful woman! Even though Lu Ming had seen all kinds of beautiful women, and he even had peerless beauties like Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon by his side, he couldn't help but praise her in his heart. This woman's beauty was not inferior to Autumn Moon, Xian Yanqing, or Xian Yanjuan. At this moment, the beautiful woman also saw Lu Ming. It's you. You're Lu Ming? The beautiful woman asked. Her voice was crisp and pleasant, but it was filled with a faint chill. That's right, I'm Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. Very good. The beautiful woman nodded. Her body suddenly emitted a cold killing intent. Then die. The beautiful woman shouted. She took a step forward and charged towards Lu Ming. At the same time, a terrifying sword radiance burst out from her hand and slashed towards Lu Ming. Damn it, Lu Ming cursed. He didn't expect this beautiful woman to suddenly attack him. However, Lu Ming was already on guard when the beautiful woman emitted her killing intent. When she attacked, Lu Ming activated the battle character art to quadruple his combat strength. Lu Ming waved his long spear and swept it out. Clang! The sword radiance slashed onto Lu Ming's long spear, causing it to vibrate violently. Wisps of terrifying sword intent penetrated the long spear and rushed towards Lu Ming. Puff puff, sword wounds appeared on Lu Ming's arm and blood flowed out. On the other hand, Lu Ming retreated into the frigid nether forbidden grounds. The moment he entered the frigid nether forbidden grounds, he encountered the frigid nether chi. Lu Ming's body was instantly filled with coldness, causing Lu Ming to shudder. With a thought, Lu Ming summoned 9 ice chains and wrapped around Lu Ming's body, blocking the surrounding coldness. This woman is shockingly strong. Lu Ming's gaze was fixed on the beautiful woman. Her cultivation was at least at the half-step divine king realm. Lu Ming had no idea how strong her divine power was. However, Lu Ming was certain that her strength was above the 2 half-step divine king realm geniuses of the Qin clan. I don't know you. Why do you want to kill me? Did the Jin clan or the Qin clan send you? Lu Ming said coldly. He didn't know this woman, but she wanted to kill him the moment they met. There was only one explanation. The Jin clan or the Qin clan had sent her to kill him, just like the big-nosed youth. What Jin clan or Qin clan? It has nothing to do with me. I'm the one who wants to kill you. Die. The beautiful woman said coldly. Her aura grew stronger. She took a step forward and charged into the frigid nether forbidden grounds. Another sword light shot out and slashed at Lu Ming. Ancient god body. Lu Ming roared and used the ancient god body, turning into a green-armored ancient god. He waved his spear and a crescent-shaped spear light shot out, blocking the opponent's attack. You have some strength. The beautiful lady obviously did not expect Lu Ming to be able to block her attack. She was slightly stunned and her gaze turned colder. Boom! A terrifying aura surged from the beautiful woman's body. It was filled with a desolate and ancient aura. Nest, this is the origin divine force factor. This bitch has awakened the origin divine force factor. Lu Ming was shocked. A half-step divine king realm cultivator who had awakened the origin divine force factor was enough to pass the heavenly gate. Previously, there were 4 people in the Starry Sky camp who had revealed such a cultivation. Now, it seemed like there was someone else who had hidden their cultivation and strength. Perhaps, this woman had entered the Starry Moon ancient city after Lu Ming did. No matter what, this kind of strength wasn't something that Lu Ming could block. The difference in their battle strength was too great. Let's go. Lu Ming didn't hesitate and turned around, rushing towards the depths of the frigid nether forbidden grounds. Chapter 3003. Lu Ming dashed into the cold nether forbidden land. He wanted to make use of the cold nether chi in the cold nether forbidden land to shake off the beautiful woman. However, the beautiful woman wanted to kill him and had no intention of letting him go. Lu Ming, die! The beautiful woman shouted. With a flash, she rushed into the cold underworld land and chased after Lu Ming. However, after the beautiful woman chased into the cold underworld land, her body paused slightly and her speed slowed down slightly. The dark frost chi is affecting him. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The icy underworld aura was extremely yin and cold. Its temperature was extremely low. Lu Ming had cultivated the divine sun-yin technique and had the divine sun-yin force in his body. Moreover, he had the ice chains to protect himself. Hence, he was able to withstand the icy underworld aura and was not affected by it. However, the beautiful woman's divine power had nothing to do with the dark frost chi, so she had to circulate her divine power to block the dark frost chi. Even so, The beautiful woman was still faster than Lu Ming and was closing the distance between her and Lu Ming. You can't escape. The beautiful woman's eyes were filled with killing intent, as if she wanted to cut Lu Ming into pieces. What did the Jin family and Qin family give you to kill me? I can give you double the benefits. Lu Ming roared. What bullshit, Jin family and Qin family? What right do they have to ask me to kill you? The beautiful woman said coldly. Not the Jin family or Qin family. Then which force is it? Is it the force that colluded with the Dark Ice race? Lu Ming's heart jumped and he shouted, I know who you are. The person behind you colluded with the Dark Ice race and stole the 9 extinction divine crystal. How dare you? Your family will be exterminated for this crime. Lu Ming roared, wanting to scare her. Nonsense. I want to kill you. It has nothing to do with anyone else. The beautiful woman said coldly as she slashed out with sword chi, almost hitting Lu Ming. Lu Ming broke out in a cold sweat. It has nothing to do with others. You want to kill me? This time, Lu Ming was really dumbfounded. When did he offend this crazy woman? Miss, if I remember correctly, I have not offended you. Could it be that I was drunk and did you? No, if there really is me, why don't I feel anything? Lu Ming shouted, even more confused. Pervert, die. Hearing Lu Ming's words, the beautiful woman became even more furious. With a loud shout, several sword gleams slashed toward Lu Ming's head and face. Lu Ming hastily executed the Garuda technique to dodge, but his shoulder was still grazed by a sword light. His cyan scales were cut open and blood flowed out. Lu Ming trembled in fear. His opponent was a half-step divine king and had awakened the origin god force factor. His attack was terrifyingly sharp, his green scale armor could not withstand it at all. How did I become a pervert again? Lu Ming was shocked and angry. If it wasn't for the fact that he was not a match for her, he would definitely take her down and let her know what a pervert was. But now, Lu Ming could only desperately run for his life. He purposely ran towards the place where the cold underworld chi was dense. At the same time, he executed the Garuda technique to the extreme. Even so, he was still in danger. Not long after, there were a few more wounds on his body. This crazy woman, why is she chasing after me? Lu Ming was really speechless. There was a ruthless look in his eyes. He was thinking rapidly in his heart, trying to think of a plan to kill the other party. Lu Ming would not show mercy just because she was a beautiful woman. Rustle rustle rustle. At this moment, Lu Ming heard some rustling sounds in front of him. There are living beings here. Lu Ming was not surprised, he was happy. The appearance of living beings at this moment was beneficial to Lu Ming. Swoosh. Lu Ming's body flashed and he rushed towards the source of the sound. Not long after, a giant creature appeared in front of Lu Ming. It was a snow-white centipede. It was extremely huge, at least 100 meters long, and it was crawling on the mountain. At this moment, after seeing Lu Ming, the giant centipede jumped and pounced towards Lu Ming. SSSSSS. Before the gigantic centipede arrived, it opened its mouth and spewed out a gust of thick gray fog. At the same time, a gust of terrifying cold air surged toward Lu Ming. Even Lu Ming felt his body stiffen. It was also the cold underworld chi, but the temperature was even lower. The space seemed to have frozen. Lu Ming circulated the divine power of sun and the 9 ice chains to protect himself. Only then did he manage to block the chill. At the same time, Lu Ming's body flashed and he avoided the giant centipede's attack. However, the giant centipede twisted its body and its razor-sharp claws slashed towards Lu Ming like a divine knife. Lu Ming was shocked and he used his spear to block. Clang! Lu Ming's body shook and he was sent flying. However, at this moment, the beautiful woman had caught up. She was also enveloped by the giant centipede's chill. Her body stiffened and her speed decreased. However, she had awakened her divine power of origin. She circulated her divine power and blocked the attack of the chill. Swoosh! After the giant centipede repelled Lu Ming with one blow, it saw the absolute beauty again. Instantly, it shrieked loudly. With a leap, it charged toward the absolute beauty again. Get lost. The beautiful woman was overbearing. Her sword radiance shot out and slashed the giant centipede's body. The giant centipede was powerful. It was at the half-step divine king realm. With the addition of its armor, its defense was amazing. However, it still could not block the beautiful woman's attack. The sword radiance slashed through the giant centipede's armor and left a deep sword wound. This crazy woman is so powerful. Lu Ming was shocked. If such an attack were to land on him, he would most likely be sliced into two. Hiss hiss hiss. The giant centipede was injured and it seemed to be in a frenzy. It screeched crazily and emitted a terrifying chill towards the beautiful woman. The giant centipede only had eyes for the beautiful woman. It did not care about Lu Ming at all. Wherever the chill passed, even the cold underworld chi that was floating in the air was frozen. This showed how terrifying the chill was. The beautiful woman had to focus on blocking it. At the same time, she slashed out sword radiance towards the giant centipede. The two of them fought fiercely. Lu Ming would not miss such an opportunity. He used the Nine Heavens Garuda technique to the extreme and turned into a Garuda, leaving the place in a flash. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming was far away. I finally got rid of that crazy woman. Where did she come from? Did the Qin family and Jin family send people to kill me? Or did she collude with the Dark Ice tribe to kill me? Lu Ming guessed. Not long after, Lu Ming went a few 100,000 li into the cold underworld land. The cold underworld chi here was getting denser. Occasionally, Lu Ming would find some living beings. However, these living beings were terrifying. The weakest one was a 9th-level heavenly god. Most of them were half-step divine kings. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.